Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and I'm going to make a birthday card for my nephew-in-law today. His birthday actually isn't until October, but I went ahead and made it. It's good to have it ready to go for when his birthday gets here, but I wanted to show you. I have a picture of Richard and Alyson on a vacation years ago, which is kind of fun for them to look back and see. The only way that you would even know it's birthday is because I added some birthday balloons. But look at how fun the pop-up happens when you look inside. And this is just a black and white photocopy of a photo. This was one of their engagement photos years ago before they got married. So before Quincy and Addison and all the fun things that came with their kids. So in order to make this, we want to look first at how to create this pop-up element. The easiest way for me to share that with you is to create a pattern. So you can download for free the pattern, and all you want to do is just transfer it onto the cardstock or the paper that you want to use. Now you're going to, of course, you're going to cut around the outside edges of the card, but otherwise, every other place where you have a vertical lines are the cut lines. You can see here, I'm showing you, I've already gone ahead and I've cut on all of the vertical lines. So going all the way for all these pop-up elements. And the horizontal lines, all of these are just, all I've done is score along all of these horizontal lines here. Because the horizontal lines are where you're going to fold, and the vertical lines are where you're going to cut, with the exception, of course, of cutting the outside edges. Once you have all of your creases, you've scored on all the fold lines, and you've cut with your X-Acto blade on all of the cut lines, then it just needs to get folded up in order to assemble it. So starting here, I'm going to fold these as valley folds. And the easiest way that I find to do this, I'll try to do it so you can see, is to lay the card down and just finger fold like so. So I'm bringing in each one of these little tabs and doing just a slight finger fold on each one of those score lines. I'm trying to angle this in a way that you can see what I'm doing, but I can still work. So, and I find these then are going to have to be mountain folds. So you can either get in here and mountain fold, or if it's easier, you can flip it over and then turn these into valley folds. Because once you flipped it over, what was a mountain fold on the right side obviously becomes a valley fold on the wrong side. So now I've lightly folded with my fingers all of these mountain folds. This last section here is a valley fold. So I'm just going to valley fold on this last one, like so. Try to keep moving this so you can see where I'm folding. So there's my valley fold. And then the halfway point where the card opens and closes is also a valley. So see how it's starting to fold right into place? You can see once you do those light finger folds, then it's going to let you just close it up. And now you can give a nice strong fold to all of those places where you've just had light finger folds before. So you've created this really cool multiple pop-up, and now you have all these places where you can attach photos, you can attach die cuts, you can attach anything that you want to look like it pops up. In this case, it's going to be the photos of Alyson and Richard. It's easiest, if I put this one first, it's in my way each time I go to place the next one. It's easiest to start at the outside edges and work your way to the front. So I've taken the photos of Alyson and Richard, and I'm going to need 7 of them. So I've already gone ahead, I've just done a black and white photocopy, and when I turn it over, you'll see I've backed it with this yellow cardstock just to give it a little more firmness, or actually yellow paper. But the thickness of the yellow paper, like construction paper, and then the photocopy together gives it a nice body. All I want to do is I want to put adhesive where it's going to attach just to each tab. Notice the photo that I selected is harder than probably what you're going to use. But if I attach her so that Richard's foot is up, it looks like she's way up high floating. And I think that it looks a little bit better if it's a little further down. So what I've done, and I'll show it to you on the finished one, is you'll notice that Richard's foot is folded, and each one of these sections he's folded so that
she doesn't have her feet floating way up high on each one of those little tabs. And it's thin enough that I can fold it once it sits inside. So this is going to be the section that has Alyson. So I'm going to put adhesive on her, and then just a little bit of adhesive. You don't normally want adhesive behind him, but just on his foot so that it will stick, because it's going to get folded. So I'm going to put adhesive behind her and just on Richard's foot in order to accommodate that fold. I'm going to lay this down so I can line her up and fasten her down and fasten him down. Now, when I go back and fold, see how his foot is now just it's gonna just fold up? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do the same thing to attach all of this side, and then we'll look at attaching this side before we do the cover. So right now I'm just gonna go ahead and attach the next two sections, just the same. That gives me, and if I fold, you can see, that gives me one side. Now it's time to do the same thing on the other side. Well, now I'm attaching Richard instead of Alyson. So this time I don't need to put any adhesive on her, but I need to put adhesive on both of his, on his leg and a little bit on the leg next to it. You want to be sure and only put adhesive on the portion that's going to overlap with the tab, because you don't want anything else to stick to the layer behind it. So I'm going to flatten this out, and once again, in order to get her feet so that they're sort of down in the vicinity where she's not floating, it looks like this. Notice when I go to fold this, see what happens to his hand? Because of his hand, it also creates another issue. So what I did was I went back with a pair of scissors and I just cut a little slit that will allow me to slide the photo, and it's probably easiest I can show you on the finished one. Maybe that make more sense. If you look here, you can see there's a little slit that allows his hand or his arm to slide in there. So starting on here, I'm going to cut just a little slit, and this is only because I need to accommodate this particular photo. You're not likely to need to do this, but I just thought it would make sense, just in the odd chance that maybe you end up with one that is as odd as mine. So now you can see the slit that I've cut here. When I position his arm so that he can tuck right into this pleat, and when her feet look like they are placed about even with this tab, it's about right there. So I'm going to position that, and let me go ahead and lift it up so you can see what I'm referencing. See how now his arm is tucked behind? I'm going to do the same thing and attach the next two. So you can see why you start at the back, that way that's not in your way as you move yours forward and attach all of the tabs. So now when I fold these down, it really helps to set all the adhesive, and you can see how you have all the photos in place. The last one is the front one, and I want them to be sort of right in the middle. So I'm going to put a little of the adhesive on each of them, plus on his folded leg. And I think I even have her foot a little folded so that they're both a little grounded. It makes them a little bit shorter, and I'll set it down so you see what I mean. I want this foot right here to be flush with that fold line that's there. So it looks less floaty, and it will make them a little bit shorter. So I'm going to go ahead, press, and fold, and now really push down to engage that adhesive. And looky there. So much fun. Notice, however, because of the photos that I picked and the size that I printed them, look at how much sticks out. This will dictate the size of the cover for your card. I'm not worried about an envelope because this is going to go in wrapped in with a present, and I'm just going to put it in the box before I ship it to them in San Francisco. So I have this is a 12-inch piece of paper. The size of your cover is going to vary based on how high your photos stick up. And if you have a situation where you have to fit into an envelope that is a certain size, you may have to reduce the size of the photos when you make your photocopies. You can play with that based on the photos that you select, or if you select die cuts. But notice how when I set this inside, see when it's closed, see the clearance that you have. So you need to make sure that, and I've even got a little more room there than I needed. But I'm going to go ahead now and put adhesive so that it will attach. And what I do is put adhesive on half of the card first. So, and it doesn't matter the top half or the bottom half, either one. Notice I'm not putting adhesive on any of the tabs. They have to be free to open and close, just the outside perimeter. And I'm going to tuck it so that I have an even border on both sides and that it's tucked right into the fold line. And then I'm going to just push it right against the fold and press to get it to adhere. So I've now got the top section fastened down. Now I'm going to close it up again and put adhesive on the other side. In my case, this is now what will be the bottom of the card. And all I need to do is close on the fold and press. And you end up with just a really cool and very personal card. Now, they're going to be blown away by the fact that you included photos, but in order to make it themed birthday, I wanted to add a few birthday elements. So for the cover, all I did was I took black and white striped paper and added a band. I added a little band of yellow, and the yellow, all I did in order to create the polka dots was I just took my pencil eraser, and if you haven't seen this before, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but just in case you haven't seen before how easy it is to make your own dotted paper, just using an ink pad and a pencil eraser, you can see how you can create a nice polka dot effect. So that's these elements, and then I've added, I'm not going to stop to actually glue those down, but you can see, because I thought it looked a little odd that his arm was cut off in the photo and their legs were cut off, I'm placing them so that it goes right underneath. It looks like it goes right underneath this band here and right off the bottom of the card. And then to make it look like his hand is holding balloons, I just took balloon stickers and stuck those behind. So that's how easy it is to create the element on there. And then inside, the only other thing I did was I added more of the balloon stickers and just took a little strip of the black and white paper in order to add this detail to the bottom to create what looks like sort of a checker effect on the bottom. Quick and easy, but so effective, I think. You know, when you combine a birthday message with personal photos, you get a really special card.